Good evening, everybody. It's Sunday night, September 13th. If you're watching us live, thanks for being here. Every Sunday night, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, I interview a Disney creator. And if you were here last week, you know that one of my hopes for 2021 is to get more Disney podcasters on the show. And it just so happens that I've got Leslie from the Polka Dot podcast in the house tonight. And I'm excited to talk to her and all of you about that. Leslie, how are you, my friend?
I am doing great. How are you, Jeff?
Spectacular. I really appreciate you saying yes to doing this.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, sure. I got to start off right now with, you got some cute stuff behind you. It looks like Chip and Mama. Or Chip and Mama. Or Chip
there they are. That's
Mrs.
them.
Potts. Love it.
I've had them for about 20 years.
No, really?
A whole set of them, but I just have these out for now.
I love them. Very cool. Yeah. Hey, Carolyn. Hey, your pal Al. I see you guys in chat. I know there's a couple of other shows going on tonight, and I'm sure a bunch of people will come over in the middle. But regardless, I appreciate you guys being here. And if you're watching on, hey, Dean, what's going on, my man? And if you're watching on the replay, which I know a lot of you do, hashtag Team Replay in the comments. I appreciate you guys doing that. Let's get right into Leslie and the Polka Dot podcast. I think you're wearing on-brand clothing tonight. I love it. Are you a mini fan? The easiest question of the night?
You know, they say, Jeff, that it all started with a mouse. Yes?
I've heard that.
In my case, it all started with a mouse, but she was wearing polka dots. I'm going to show you.
I want to see.
I posted this on my Instagram recently. This is my original Minnie Mouse from 1985.
No,
the first time I went to Walt Disney World, my mom bought me this, and she bought my brother a Mickey Mouse, which he also still has. So I saved this, and she now lives in my daughter's room, but this is
You're my kind of family already. You and brother sticking with that.
I'm a very sentimental family. We save everything. Everything.
I don't, you know what? We have a lot of stuff and we don't save everything. That's how much garbage we have. But I love that. That is really cool. As a dad and now a grandpa, I wish I had some of the stuff I had. I had a hat. Mom, parents, whatever, bought me a hat at Disneyland. Jeez, would have been 75, 76, 77. I don't know. When I was very little. And it had, you know, they stitched Jeff on it. I wish I had that. It's kind of what you just showed me. So you were a mini fan from get-go, it sounds like.
I was. Yes, still am. Yep.
And an obvious question again, that's why you named it Polka Dot Podcast, question mark?
Yes, actually. So I knew when I decided I wanted to do a podcast focused on Walt Disney World or Disney in general, that I wanted to cater primarily to other moms like me who were Disney fans. And I wanted a name that kind of, you know, a look and brand and name that captured Disney, but did so in a feminine kind of subtle way. And I was coming up with a bunch of really boring names. And my husband, who is a lot more clever than I am, threw out some names. And one of them was Polka Dot Podcast. And I said, I love it. And I Googled it. Yeah. I couldn't find anyone else who had that name so far. And so I took it.
So you grabbed it. I love Disney World Adventures in the House. Caitlin, hey Caitlin, I see you in the chat. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member, by the way. A couple members in the chat I see. Use those emojis if you want to have a good time with that. I appreciate you guys being here. So I love that. So I would say to you, that was pretty lucky. I mean, it's really good branding. Polka Dot Podcast. I mean, what you just said, I know. So I named my channel Dole Whip Dad because, and I've answered this to a bunch of people when they said, what the heck is that? I want Disney people to know instantly, but I don't necessarily want, I mean, I don't care, but non-Disney people, like, what is that? I mean, they're not my target audience. Same with you, right? Polka Dot Podcast, I know. I mean, and you're wearing it. And so I think that's brilliant. I'm happy you got it. Let's put it that way, because it's so on brand. I love that.
Yes.
When did you start your podcast? I know the answer to some of these questions, but for people who are just getting to know you tonight, when did you start your podcast?
January, first week of January. I sort of got the idea last May in 2019 and was working on it. And I thought, well, I have to make sure that I can come up with enough episode topics to sustain doing this on a weekly basis. I
was just going to say, you go weekly, right?
Yep. I post every Saturday. It tends to be every Saturday morning at 8, a new episode drops. And then, you know, it just lives there forever. So I was thinking about, you know, what kind of topics would I do? And I just wrote a list of topics. And I thought, if I can come up with 12 right off the bat, then I think I could do a show and get it launched. Yeah. I came up with like 35 topics
I love
in
it.
about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I already have most of the year right there.
Yeah, that's more than a half a year in 30 minutes of thinking. I'm friends with a lot of people in the YouTube creation world too. Friends at TubeBudy and stuff like that. Anyway, and so I'll go into their chats, and a lot of people will say, "Well, how do you come up with so many ideas?" And what I'm saying to my computer, like, good thing they can't hear me, is if you can't come up with a bunch of ideas, get off the platform. I don't want to hear somebody who doesn't know that. I just want to be famous, this isn't how you get famous.
Oh, well.
But if you love something, like I think you like, dare I say we do, Disney, it's not that hard. I mean, I can come up with 35. Oh, maybe not a half hour. You might beat me on that. But you're talking about something you love, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you said you got the Minnie and Bro got the Mickey back in the day.
That's right.
Obviously, the family was that, did you two become the fans, or were mom and dad already fans? When did the family become Disney fans?
Yeah, so I'm the youngest of four.
Hi, Mar. How are you?
2 older brothers and my older sister, and all of them have been on the show, as has my mom. At one point, we did a Mother's Day episode with her. Yeah, so we're definitely a Disney family. I would say it probably started with my mom. She was the vacation planner. It was her dream to go to Disney World. She grew up watching, the magic of Disney Sunday nights through I think that started in the 50s and 60s. So it really started with my mom. And then she started taking my siblings. I think they went before I was born in the 70s. And I came along in 82. So we went again in 83 or 85 when I was 3 years old.
Nice.
And we just went every couple years since then. So we've just got a collection of pictures and some videos and memorabilia and merchandise that we've saved over the years. So we're definitely all one Disney family for sure.
Well, now I often will ask this at the end, but since you mentioned it, memorabilia, what do you guys collect? I mean, I see Mrs. Potts and Chip. You've already showed me.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of old school
buddy?
like this. I've got the tea set. I've got some pins. I've got some music boxes, snow globes, all kinds of things. And I tend to, on Thursdays, I tend to do like a throwback Thursday picture on my Instagram at Polka Dot Podcast on Instagram. And sometimes it will be my vintage Disney merch, or just old school 80s photos from the 80s and 90s of us on our Disney vacations. So I like sharing that stuff too.
Yeah, I was checking out, obviously having you on the show here the last few weeks, I've been checking out your podcast and your Instagram, and it's a lot of fun. Why did you pick podcasting? I love the podcast world. I listen to podcasts. I didn't listen to Disney. Well, okay, that's not true. I used to listen to Disney podcasts, and then I got away from it, just getting busy, and I'm getting back into it.
Yeah.
Why'd you pick that medium over, well, you were also on Instagram, but over YouTube or over whatever? Why'd you pick podcasting?
Yeah, so podcasts, I really became a big podcast lover in general. I would listen to them when I was getting ready in the morning for work, and then driving to and from work really became my source of entertainment and news and information. And I subscribe to a wide variety of podcasts. So I also obviously am a Disney lover. So I just thought, if I want to do something creative and have that creative outlet and talk about Disney, podcast was sort of my natural pool. I wanted to be part of that world too and contribute in that way, just because I'm a consumer of it.
Yeah.
But I also subscribe to a lot of YouTube channels. And in fact, they got me through both of my maternity leaves. When I was sitting around feeding my babies for hours on end. It was a great positive way to wake up and start the day. Watching, I think it started with, have you heard of, it's now, I think, Main Street to Midway Mania. It used to be Rob Plays.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Okay, so you know Rob. So that was the very first one. And then Yesterworld and Disney Food Blog. And even now, I'll try to wake up before my daughters wake up with a cup of coffee, go down and see whatever new YouTube video that I subscribe to has popped up that morning. So it's a very positive way to start your day.
Oh, I love that. It's so good. That's one of the reasons why I started my channel. Was I mean, I love my job, but it was stressing me out, and I won't. This is about you tonight, so I'm not going to go deep into that. But the Disney community, wow, they've got some drama too, don't we all? Everybody does.
Yeah.
I love. I mean, it's just like anything. I'm a football fan. I'm a Disney fan. You talk to people who love what you love, and your life is better. And I find it, 99% positive, and I love that about the Disney community. It's why I keep coming back to podcast about it. And YouTube channels about it. Now, you did mention in our pre-show talk, one of my favorite people, I don't listen to his podcast, but I do listen. I love him. Hey, Tina, what's going on? How are you? Hey, Keith, what's going on, my man? Conan, you're a big Conan fan.
I am. He's one that I listen to regularly.
I don't listen to his podcast, but frankly, I will now because you said that. But what do you love about Conan? I bet it's the same thing as me. He's dang hilarious.
Well, obviously his humor first and foremost, but he's also really smart. Obviously, he went to Harvard and everything, and his interviews are very personal. So you get the humor, but you also get a deeper look into whatever celebrity he's talking to, his life and the celebrity's life, talking and getting to know them more as people than what you might see when they sit down for 5 or 10 minutes on the Tonight Show, something like that. So that's really what got me into listening to longer form podcasts that last an hour or more.
Yeah.
But when I started my show, I thought, well, I want to have my podcast be about 20 minutes long because I read that is the average commute time. And I'd like someone to get in and out of the episode that's focused on one specific topic that they may hear about by the time they get to work.
That's really interesting. Yeah. So I like podcasts, and you just said it. I'm going to parrot what you said, but one of the things I like about, I'm a big Joe Rogan podcast fan and a bunch of others.
Yeah.
But you can get into things on a deeper level if you talk for 90 minutes about anything, right? I mean, come on.
Sure.
And going back to Conan, he's so funny. Like he's brilliant. Like obviously he's not an idiot.
No.
And I love that about him. But yet the physical comedy that he does is one of the things that he has such great timing on. I'm thinking about on his TV show, and his hair and his height, and he's so physical, but it comes across on the podcast, right? Like I don't know, how do I say this, but he engages, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And I think that's a great one. I love him so much. I don't know why we're talking so much Conan, because I like him too, I guess. But,
well, my husband's my Conan. If I may dare be so bold as to make that comparison. Because I told you the other night, but for your listeners tonight, when I first sat down to start recording my very first episodes, I had it all scripted out. I knew what I wanted to say. I knew that I wanted my listeners who wouldn't only be moms, hopefully, but I was writing for what I knew. And right now I'm in the phase of life where I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I'm a lifelong Disney fan. But going to Disney as a parent is very different than going to Disney when you're a kid or a teenager or a single person. It just is. It takes a whole new life in how you plan the trip. And so I figured, well, I've done this several times now. Let me give tips and lessons learned so other people don't have to make the same mistake. And they get more bang for their buck when they go to Disney. So I started writing out the script and I recorded, and it was boring. I thought, no one's going to want to listen to this. It's just me rambling on for 12 minutes. And it's just, the information is fine, but write about it. Put it somewhere on a WordPress blog. No one's going to listen to it.
I see what you're saying.
So I talked to my husband about it, and his name's Andrew. And he said, well, what
Andrew.
Andrew. And he said, what if I interview you? You tell me what to ask to get to the tips that you want to give. And we just banter about it a little bit. So we started the show doing that in January. And after a while, I found that one of the best things about the show is him because he brings a lot of humor and life to the show, and he has a great voice. And some of the people who listen to my show started writing to me or DMing me over Instagram saying, we love your banter. We love your banter. You and your husband have great chemistry. We listen for that. We want to hear more of it. So over time, my 20-minute episodes that were basically focused on giving quick tips to parents has expanded to be a little bit longer, more conversational, more humor, a little more banter and personal. So sometimes, maybe once a month, we'll still do an episode that is focused on, giving 5 tips on this or 10 tips on this, those types of lists that are kind of in and out down the business.
Loves lists, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll still do that every month. But we have a much broader range of things that we talk about now. And I think that the range is really good for entertaining people who maybe aren't even parents at all. They just really love Disney. So I hope that there's something for everyone in the world of Disney on the show now.
I love that. I love that. Melly Mel is in the house. David Cantrell is popping in. Lynn. So that's a really good segue. So Lynn's popping in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member of the channel and my good friend. Lynn's channel, Lynn's YouTube channel, she endeavors, good word usage, to provide value. Like she'll do resort tours and such. When you were saying what you were just saying about you obviously want to so when me and Lynn have a show on Sunday nights after the show, and at the end of the show when we're done, the first question we ask each other is, did we provide value tonight? And it's a good question for me to ask her, because I know that her style, her evergreen videos that she wants to make, she wants to provide value to people when they're going on their next trip to this resort or whatever. And you just said that you planned out the 5 points or the 10 points or whatever because you wanted to provide value. Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
exactly.
That's the right way to go. But now, and we talked about it last night. You said how everybody listens to your first couple shows. I've actually listened to the last ones. I haven't listened to the first ones, but I meant to last night. I was going to go do it so we could giggle about it, but I didn't get to it. But regardless, I love that. Like if you want to provide value, if you endeavor to provide value and you're having a good time too, that's what makes it. I mean, if you're not providing value, why would anyone show up, right? I hope we're providing value tonight. And the value is their channel, Polka Dot Podcast. Go check it out. I dropped their Spotify link.
Oh, thank you.
I probably should have asked you which one you prefer. Spotify, it's everywhere.
Whatever they prefer is fine by me. Yeah.
So if you're not a Spotify listener, I listen on Spotify, not exclusively, but mostly the podcast. That's where I'm at. But Polka Dot Podcast, just type it in. It'll show up and you can go listen to it. By the way, you know what? She won't say it, I bet, but I will. Here's what you need to do. Listen to it and then go review it, because I don't know why podcasts reviews are so hard to get, but they are, right? Like, I'm not going to say the numbers, but you shared with me how many downloads you have, and I listen to Pat Flynn. I'm a big Pat Flynn fan, and he talks about podcasting a lot, and I don't know why it's so hard to get reviews. I think partially it's hard to find the place to review podcasts, but my point is
on Spotify. It's a little bit easier on Apple Podcasts, and I have a few there and I really appreciate them, but I'd love to have more. I make the ask at the end of every episode.
So go there, listen to a couple, but make sure you review it. I don't know why that. I think it's easy on a phone, for me at least. It's easier to find it on a phone than on the laptop, which I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just me, user error, but anyway, go check that out. One Stop Mouse in the house, welcome in. I'm so glad to see you, Captain Akron, in here. I appreciate everybody being here. Again, you members who are here, use those emojis, have a good time. If you're just getting here, this is Leslie from Polka Dot Podcast. Again, the link to the Spotify version of the podcast is right there. So you fell in love with Disney early. We blame mom. You're a Disneyland family, right? Did I get that right, or am I misremembering?
Disney World primarily.
Okay, I had that backwards. Okay.
I have been to Disneyland, and I lived in Los Angeles for just a year back in 2007.
I was born in LA, but we moved to San Diego.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
I've got anybody in chat having a problem with the stream glitching? One of my good friends, Lynn, just texted me saying she's having a glitch. Is that on her end, or anybody else seeing that? I'm not seeing it on my end. You good over there, Leslie? Anybody in chat? Let me know. I'm hooked in. I don't know what else I can do. David T in the house, what's going on? Hopefully it goes away, whatever that is. Anyway, so you've been to both. You said you were there once. Yes. You were there in Disneyland once, but you're mostly a Disney World family?
Mostly Disney World. I'd say I've been to Disneyland at least half a dozen times, but Disney World, I haven't. I've stopped counting.
So you're the right person to ask. Which one do you prefer, and more importantly, why?
You know, this is okay. Overall,
I don't get to ask this question to everybody, so I'm excited that I get to.
Okay, good.
Because I have an opinion too.
You go to Disney World primarily?
I do, but I'm from Disney. I'm a Southern Californian who now lives in Texas. So I've been to Disneyland more times than I can count, and I've been to Disney World, I don't know, a lot lately. Stream is glitching for me too, says One Stop Mouse. I don't know what that is, guys. I'm sorry about that. I'm plugged in. I don't know. I'm going to unplug it and plug it back.
Uh-oh.
Are we good?
I can hear and see.
I am seeing a light that should be on that is off.
Do you see me?
I can hear and see you.
Okay.
I do. It's a little bit of delay now. And as I look at my internet, there's a light is not on that needs to be on. So I sense that we're on Wi-Fi where I don't want to be. Well, let's keep going, and I will. I don't know what I can do about that.
Is it on my end, or is?
No, I think it's on my end because the light for Wi-Fi is not on.
It's my curse. I told you technology hates me. I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna tell you what.
You can
answer the
blame me.
question about, hey Naomi, what's going on? You tell us about why you love which one you like better.
Disney
while
World
I try
versus
to
Disneyland.
that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it's been a while since I've been to Disneyland. So, and a lot has changed. Last time I was there, Star Wars wasn't there yet, and all of that.
I'm going to put it just on you for a minute because I got to do something. So I'll be just on you for like 30 seconds.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. So Disney World versus Disneyland. As a week-long experience, and when I go to Disney, I usually try to go for a whole week. You definitely can fill 7 days at Disney World, and there's such a variety with all the different parks and water parks that they have, plus all the resorts. And I love to hotel hop on my free days, and I always try to build in at least 2 half free days during that week. So overall, as an experience, I prefer Walt Disney World. Partly because that's where all of my memories are from going as a kid, but also I just think it's just easier to pack in a whole vacation there. Disneyland is great for 1 or 2 days. I don't think I could pack in a whole week-long getaway. Certainly you could go up to LA and do other things in the area, but comparing the two, I just think that they're so different in the experiences they offer. However, in recent years, when you compare Disneyland to Magic Kingdom, now it becomes complicated. I used to say Magic Kingdom hands down. Now I'm not so sure, because since I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, Disneyland is starting to have the edge, doesn't it? Because their Fantasyland has a lot more of those dark rides. And those dark rides are the best thing for any age. I mean, I know a lot of teenagers and older folks might seek out the thrill rides, and I love those too. But the dark rides, everyone can enjoy those together. And I also have a 15-year-old stepdaughter, so we have an age gap. And if we go together, those are the types of things. And that's one of the things about going to Disney in general, when you have, a blended family or a age gap with your kids, is there's something for everybody. And it's a lot easier than packing your house with all the baby equipment and going to the beach for a week. So Disneyland, to me, as a mom with young kids, is starting to get the edge over Magic Kingdom because of all the old rides that they have retired. At Magic Kingdom, I miss my Mr. Toad. I miss my Snow White Scary Adventure. Now we have the Mine Train ride now, and that's a great add, but that's taking out another dark ride. So plus Disneyland has dark rides that Magic Kingdom never had, like the Pinocchio ride or the there's the Teacups at Alice in Wonderland dark ride in the Casey's Junior train. And I recently found out, I don't know how I didn't know this, but all the times I went to Disneyland, that the Disneyland Railroad, that the train that takes you around the park, actually has interesting animatronics, like those big dinosaur animatronics that used to be at the Universe of Energy at Epcot. They live there, and you can see those in the Primeval Pavilion on the railroad. So even that is a great ride. And then when you go to the Magic Kingdom version, it really is just sort of a quaint transportation to get from one end of the park to the other. There's not a whole lot to see. So even that has the edge at Disneyland. So when you're comparing just Magic Kingdom to Disneyland, I'm starting to think that maybe Disneyland has the edge. And I feel almost like a traitor to myself for saying that. Plus, you can't beat the weather in Southern California compared to Orlando. I'm taking over your show.
You are a pro. So it's definitely on my end. You win some freaking award that I'm going to create right now. I mean, I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but on my phone, it looks like we're good. But so this is my fault. I don't believe in negative.
Tuned in. Did they all leave?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Even my TV is screaming at me, playback error. So little inside baseball stuff. I'd be pre-show, right? Doing a little pre-show. Hold on, I got it. And I said, oh no, it'll all be good unless one of us loses the internet. That's what I get. I actually did. Thank you, Lynn, for messaging me. And I saw it, so I decided to look. And I look over there, and the light that needs to be on was off. And I'm like, wow, is that? and then everything went nuts. So anyway, I'm back and you
never
rock.
know.
And I'll do I'll for those of you who stayed, you all win a prize. I don't know what the heck that prize would be, but you know.
Oh no! Did a bunch
or
of people drop off?
No, I think we're good. But I will do a replay of this, and I'll cut that all out so nobody will know what happened. But if you're still here live, you're my best friend, and I appreciate you staying. I don't know what you said. I saw you talking on my phone, but I don't know what you said. But I'm sure it was a spectacular answer, and I'll listen to it on the replay.
It was a very long explanation as to why Disneyland, I think, now has the edge over Magic Kingdom. I'm
going to have to go back and listen to that for sure.
Yeah, because I never would have said that 10 years ago.
So I'm from Disneyland, and so my nostalgia loves Disneyland, and I want to go to Disneyland, but there's so much more to do in Disney World. There's just so much.
Disney World, yes. As a week-long experience, you can fill a trip. The
Disneyland is a local.
Of what I was saying. I'll give you the cliff notes there, Jeff, is that at Disneyland, if you're just comparing Magic Kingdom, like both castle parks, Disneyland has so many more dark rides now. Both the ones that they've since retired at Magic Kingdom and the dark rides that never existed at Magic Kingdom. They still have them, to my knowledge. And when you're going to a castle park with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, those dark rides are really important. And plus the weather. You can't beat the weather.
My favorite things are still over in Anaheim. Like, they don't have Indiana Jones in Orlando. I like Haunted Mansions. Both of them are great. I prefer Disneyland, but they're both great. Pirates I prefer very much. And Small World's not even worth doing in Orlando compared to Anaheim, in my opinion. But that's
why is that? Really?
Oh, yeah. I'm still mad. The first time I ever walked in there, I'm like, what is this? I feel like I was at the mall. Yeah. So just the facade in Anaheim, the outside alone is amazing. And,
that's true.
And in Disney World, it's like, oh, yeah. All right. Nothing. It's like I walked into Target or something. I don't know.
They have a clock. They have something.
It's not like Disneyland, though.
There's some gold up there.
All right. If one's a 10, the other one's a 2. If one's a 4, the other one's a negative number. But that's just me.
Fair enough.
Mom panel. Disney's got the mom panel. You definitely got the mom thing going on.
Yeah.
My wife, a bunch of people I know in the Disney YouTube community really are having success with sharing, the mom side of it and the planning side of it. And obviously that's one of the things you want to do. It's because you just had some kids, right? But you talked about having a different experience as a mom and as a parent versus being a youngster. Tell me more about that.
Well, you just have to think through everything so much more, right? When I would go with just Andrew or with whoever without kids, you still nowadays, you still have to schedule your fast passes and your ADRs. And that's not something we did in the 90s, And so that whole phase of planning is kind of over with, because if you show up at a popular restaurant, you're not going to get in.
Yeah.
Possibly at all. And maybe if you wait a couple hours, but with kids, you can't do that. Yeah. You can't have them wait. And so you really have to put more thought into, okay, what rides do I really want to get them on that I have to have a fast pass for, because a line like Peter Pan, if that's a ride that your kid wants to ride, chances are you're going to get a fast pass for it at least one time during your week, assuming you're staying there for a whole week, because the line is never shorter than 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe now because of COVID, but usually it's always really long. And it's just not worth waiting an hour for, I don't think. So you just have to, so the type of fast passes you're going to get are going to change, because you're probably not going to put all 3 of them each day on thrill rides if you're going with a 2-year-old. So you got to think of things differently. I learned through experience that if I'm going to splurge on a character dining, I'm going to try to do it for a breakfast or lunch instead of a dinner, because it's a toss-up as to whether your kids are going to melt down and be exhausted by dinner time.
Right. Especially at that young age. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you're staying at, a monorail resort like Polynesia and you want to try to hop over there and give them a nap, they may not wake up in time to rush back to wherever you got to be to get that ADR. So I've kind of changed things, and now I'm trying to do my sit-down dining at lunchtime. Not every night. It's nice to have some sit-down dinners too, but it used to be I'd pretty much do all of my table service at night, and not so much anymore, because you have to think about your kids' energy levels. We
used to plan that a lot more than we do now. Also, we're we're the least planning Disney nuts that you probably know, but that's by choice. Like so often we would spend the time planning for something that we ended up bouncing anyway, or, we meet a friend, or kids are tired, or dad's tired, or, whatever. Yeah. So anyway, Lynn's asking, and I'll say for everybody, this is Leslie from Polka Dot Podcast. I just dropped the Spotify link again. I just have the Spotify link, but again, just type in Polka Dot Podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. You don't have to go to Spotify, but there's a link if you want to. And then you can find them on Instagram too. Ray J's in the house. Kelly and Mickey Bunch is in the house. Kay Atwood's in the house. Welcome in. I hope the blinking is gone, guys. My light is on now. I suspect we're all good, although I got another message from somebody saying it's still blinking. So I hope we're good. If it's a rough one, I will certainly put this back together and try to edit out me telling you about the blinking light stuff. So hopefully you stick with us, and hopefully the internet problems go away a little bit. Favorite ride and why?
Oh, this is
a favorite attraction. I should say attraction, not
attraction. Okay, fair enough.
Hey, Tommy, Corner Sports, what's going on, buddy?
This one is really hard. And I think about this like as I'm brushing my teeth in the morning.
I love you. I love that answer.
Even before my podcast, my brothers and I would go out through the neighborhood and take walks, and we would just say, if you could add a country to the World Showcase, which one would you add?
So that's a whole show, but we could do it right now.
Yeah, I have a show. Every now and then I'll do an episode that's called If You Were an Imagineer, and we'll focus it on, I think the last one Andrew and I did was, if you were an Imagineer, what would you change about Disney Springs, or what would you add to it? So anyway, to answer your question, if I had to pick one, I would say Haunted Mansion, right? Because it's just about as perfect as a ride as you can get.
Totally.
The music, how long it is, everything about it is awesome.
It's so iconic too. It's I'm very excited about the upcoming movie. I was very excited about the previous movie, and it's a good movie, but it's not a good Haunted Mansion movie. But that's a whole conversation too. But okay, so to segue, but to use what you said, I often like to ask people if you were CEO of Disney, and you talked about if you were Imagineer. So I'm going to ask you if you're this, and I see the blinking comments again, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't on my end. Maybe I just caused the big problem. I don't know what it is, but if you were the Disney CEO of all of Disney, what would you do? It could be a movie you'd want to make. It could be a remake. It could be a land at Epcot. It could be a new land in the Magic Kingdom. It could be a whole new park.
Wow. That is a big question. I didn't even think about the movie aspects, the whole Disney Plus thing. I didn't even think about.
This is my goal in life, to be Disney CEO. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but, aim high.
So there are a couple things I'd love them to add to Disney World. If there's room for it at Disney Springs, maybe where the NBA experience is now, I don't know. I want them to put a Disney museum in.
Ooh, I love it.
They have that little walkthrough experience that they have at Hollywood Studios, but I love that. See scenes and old animatronics from Horizons and World of Motion and other retired rides that you miss. Put them in the museum. Have, section on Walt and his life like they do at Hollywood Studios, but retired attractions, models. You could even do a whole floor on Disney movies with costumes and props and all of that stuff, especially now that we don't have the backlot tour at Hollywood Studios.
I never got to do that.
You never saw it? I
never saw it. I was still in California before they took it away. I would have loved that. That is a great idea. Well, and you mentioned what is that? Whatever that space is called, the little museum area where they end up previewing some movie that you were just talking about at Hollywood Studios. I could spend an hour looking at the models of stuff. We were just in Marceline. I don't know. Have you been up to Marceline yet?
No, never.
Pretty cool. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere, so you got to be doing something else. But I enjoyed it very much. You got to be a Disney nut because it's not huge, but it was pretty big. We spent a couple hours there. Anyway, the room that they had all the models of the stuff was my favorite room. I could live in there, and they have that there. I love just thinking about Main Street and looking down on it and all the rides. I'm a nut for that stuff. Yeah. So I think that's a great call. There's a family museum in San Francisco, which I have not done.
I just missed it. A year ago, Andrew and I went to the city, but they were closed on the day we could go. Yeah.
I was with work, and I'm like, okay, my day to pick. We're going here. Like, I almost bailed on them. T-Mold in the house, what's going on? I still wish I would have. Someday. I used to go to San Francisco a lot when I was in California. Now it's less likely, so I feel dumb that I missed that. But yeah, I love that idea, and having it there. I mean, having it in Disney Springs makes so much sense. I love that idea. Lots of people really miss some of the old rides too. I like how you mentioned Horizons. I love the change. That said, it'd be neat to have a place to memorialize some of those rides and attractions. Yeah.
To see it, and even if they could rebuild little sections, where you get on a little car and you go through and they build little scenes from different rides.
Yeah.
That would be awesome too.
That would be awesome.
I'd love for them to do something like that. I'd like them to add a new country to the World Showcase.
Let's go there. What if you get to pick a country? I've got a couple, but I can name my number one, but what's yours?
So I'd be happy with any country, frankly. I just want something new around that pond. But if it were me, I would love for them to add India.
Ooh.
Because I love the food. I think the architecture would be really cool and different from what they already have. There's a lot of culture. And, I don't know if they would do it without bringing in Disney IP, but there are a few movies they could tie to India. Like, I think Jungle Book is supposed to be.
Oh, that's right. I was going to say that. You're right.
And then elements of Aladdin. I mean, it's a fictitious place.
Arabian Nights.
But it's loosely based a little bit on, Saudi Arabia, India, and different countries in that region. So,
I mean, India is such a huge population of the planet that obviously there'd be so much there.
And here in the U.S., right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that. For me, Brazil with Russia number 2. I love Brazil. I mean, come on. They're the most happy people I've ever seen. My goodness, like I want to be that happy. They're like I've never seen a Brazilian who wasn't like having a party. And Russia, it's so massive and so beautiful, the architecture, and I think that would be cool. But I mean, I'm with you. I would take anything. I mean, it could be, I don't care.
Greece, it could be,
could be Greenland for all I care. I just like new stuff. Greece would be good. Greece is a great call. So much history. Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. Anyway, I love that. And your favorite park? Which one's your favorite park?
Magic Kingdom. For sure.
Mine's Epcot, and mine's Epcot because of World Showcase. So Magic Kingdom, why? I bet I know, but go ahead.
Well, there's such a variety of rides, of shows, of shops, of food. Doesn't have the best restaurants compared to Epcot, but I mean, it's such a. If I was going to take someone of any age, I could go there, fill a whole day, and never get bored, never run out of things to do.
Absolutely.
I mean, and Epcot, I love Epcot. I started going there and when it opened, basically, and we've watched it evolve, and I love it. It's starting to have a little bit of an identity crisis. I kind of feel
its identity right now is walls.
Well, they're working on it, right? But the changes they make, I very rarely dislike the new rides and attractions, but I don't know if I like them as much as what used to. I like the whole edutainment approach that they used to have that they've kind of gotten away from. So from that aspect, Future World, which will soon be the 3 neighborhoods, that's starting to lose its spark for me a little bit, but I still love the World Showcase. I go there for the World Showcase, really.
I totally do too. I could, people get mad when I say this, but I don't care. I could skip the front and go straight to the back every time there. I mean, Herc and Meg could get a place. Exactly. Team Mold. Exactly. Restaurants. You just mentioned you like the restaurants at Epcot, not so many as Magic Kingdom. Favorite restaurant on Disney property, and why?
Oh, that is really hard.
A lot to pick from.
Well, because on the one hand, it depends if you're talking about best food versus favorite atmosphere.
You get to pick. You can tell us both if you want.
So atmosphere, I really like San and Jill in the Mexican Pavilion.
Okay.
With that indoor dining, and it looks like you're outside at night, but really you're inside the pyramid. And it's sort of reminiscent of.
I've not eaten there, but I certainly like the ambiance. Is that the word?
They have great margaritas. If you're into margaritas, they do.
La Cava's right down right over there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they have the same stuff inside.
Nice.
And it's good. And it kind of has that, since you're from California, have you been to the restaurant at the Pirates?
Blue Bayou?
Yeah, Blue Bayou.
I have.
And it has that kind of romantic nighttime scene. Well,
I used to get mad at my mom and dad for making me go there when I was a kid. I had no idea what I was doing. Obviously, it's amazing now.
I haven't eaten there. It's hard to get into.
Yes, you have to. You have to.
Yeah. So I would say that's my favorite restaurant for atmosphere. But I think Sanaa has the best food.
I've never been there. I want to. It's a good call. Everyone who tells me Sanaa, Lynn, talking about Lynn a couple times, she did a great review there. But I think that's probably number 1 on my list. And there's a lot of high stuff on that list. So many good answers to that. I love asking that question, and especially to people who have eaten at a lot of places. I don't know how long it would take to eat at every place you could eat on Disney property, but I'd like to try to check them all off. That would be
Do you have a favorite?
Depends on the day. I mean, I probably don't have a favorite. I mean, my right now, the last time I went that I enjoyed so much, the Edison. I loved the Edison so much. The burger and the hanging bacon they got me, that was amazing. But it could be a different answer every day. There's a lot. I don't have a favorite. My favorite, honestly, is the next place I go. That's my favorite. The next place.
Yeah, whatever's open.
Exactly. Now on your show, you do some fun things. One of the things that you do is you did it the last episode and then one before. Keep it, plus it, toss it. Tell the people about keep it, plus it, toss it. Maybe we can play.
Keep it, plus it, toss it. So it started with a different segment called "Good Times or Good Riddance," and that's
I don't think I've heard that, but you mentioned it on one of the. Well, I don't know. I'll shut up and listen.
Yeah. So good times or good riddance. That's where we talk about retired attractions from Walt Disney World, and whether we're happy that they retired them or whether we miss them and wish they hadn't. And so after we went through all the list of retired attractions, then I wanted to start talking about existing attractions, and that's keep it, plus it, toss it. And that's for each existing attraction. We do about 10 per episode. Would you keep it as is and kind of honor the state that it's in? Would you plus it, meaning, improve it or change it in some way? Or would you toss it and retire it completely, make space for something new? And so that's a game that my brother Dan joins us for that, and Andrew kind of hosts it. And we try to sprinkle in some trivia and history about the attractions as well that I've researched, and so that people kind of that's their takeaway, trying to learn a little bit of the backstory behind these things, and then we banter about them. So it's a lot of fun.
So can I put you on the spot? I know that they just reopened a little bit of Dino Land.
They reopened Dino Land?
They opened a little bit of Dino Land. The games, it'll be on tomorrow morning's Good Morning Disney, Monday through Saturday. We talk about it. But yeah, they've got some of the games back with more themed to the area games, but let's play.
Okay.
Keep it, plus it, toss it, Dino Land.
Okay. So what I really want doesn't actually fit into one of these categories.
Oh no!
And this is where if Andrew were here, he'd be like,
"It's your game. You can do whatever you want. You can just tell us part of the rules."
I'm going to say toss it as a Dino Land, but keep a playground. Okay. So all I want is that boneyard playground.
Okay.
Because like I said, I'm focused on young kids right now. They need to get their wiggles out in the afternoon and run around and not have to wait in line. So keep that playground. They need to add more playgrounds to every single park and resort at Walt Disney World. But as far as the spin and all those other rides, that can go. We can get something new.
And what would you put there? If you got something new, what would you put there?
Oh boy. It's not that I wouldn't get away from the dinosaur categories. I like dinosaurs. It's just that the fair ride version was a cheap and easy fix in my mind. I think they can do something better.
I think that area needs to be Zootopia Land. It's perfect.
Okay. That's good.
It doesn't. It's animal based. It's cute as heck. And I love all of that movie so dang much. And Dino Land's boring. By the way, Dinosaur, that ride that I hate. Indiana Jones.
Dinosaur ride.
I hate that ride. It's not even on a scale of 1 to 10. It doesn't even get a number because it's boring.
But you mentioned the Indiana Jones ride at Disney World. It's the same ride.
It's the same track. It's the same vehicle, and they made it. It rhymes with tracky. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Okay.
I can't. I love dinosaurs, and I love the Indiana Jones ride. And this guy didn't like that ride. That's how bad I think that ride is. Now, some of my very favorite people will call that their favorite ride. I think that's because they did too many drugs. I don't know what the heck they're doing, but I can tell you like dinosaur. I do like the ride. And especially the pre-show made me. The pre-show was like, what do we do? This is like Avatar and Jurassic Park, but for a 4-year-old. Like, it made me unhappy immediately. What am I missing? I mean, as a guy who loves dinosaurs and Indiana Jones, how is it?
To me, it's just fun, but I like the animatronics. I wish that they had the Jurassic Park IP. I really do, but they don't, and that's Universal. So, oh well. But and
They'll
also,
have it eventually. They'll buy it.
yeah, and I'm going to be missing the Universe of Energy animatronic dinosaurs. So at least maybe they could transport them and put them near that ride in some way, or add them into it. I'd love to see those again. They're not going to do it, but I doubt it.
I think I have so much confidence in Disney Imagineers, and I feel like, well, okay, we can't really fire these 12 people. What are we going to do with them? Let's have them do the dinosaur ride, and this is what we got, because I just really don't like it. I don't like it, and I'm mad at Disney for it. But I love Disney for everything else, so I'll get over it.
So I heard, though, and is this a rumor or is this a real thing pre-COVID, that they were planning on building a Jungle Book ride using Shanghai Disneyland's Pirates technology? Have you seen that?
I have not seen that.
I will on YouTube. It is amazing. Their Pirates, their version of Pirates in Shanghai is awesome. With that
yeah. I've not done it yet, but
I want them to take that technology, do it as a Jungle Book ride or whatever, and put it in the Animal Kingdom. Because I don't want them to change.
I love that.
Our Pirates, at Magic Kingdom, but I want that ride. I want that new technology. That would be a lot of fun.
That's an interesting way to, I like that.
Come on.
That's good. Well, and so I'm thinking about boats. We don't have a Moana ride, but it's not really an animal thing. And the whole conversation. Yeah. I want more Moana, but I guess that's going over at Epcot. I don't know. I think that Dinotopia area is just such a waste of space. And Zootopia is so great. Yeah. Brigitte, hey, how are you? What's going on? Hitchhiking Bone says Indiana Jones is so much better than Dinosaur. It is. Okay. Pre-leaving to Walt Disney World, Indiana Jones was my favorite ride. Then Expedition Everest, and then Flight of Passage, and now we've got all these Star Wars things. But my point is, that's how high up I had Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I expected greatness out of Dinosaur because I knew what I knew, that it was the same but different. I can't do it.
You can't deal with it. I will agree that I enjoy the Indiana Jones ride more.
Oh, it's so good.
But I still like the Dinosaur ride.
Interesting. Good stuff. Okay, so we talked a lot about Epcot. We talked a little bit about Magic Kingdom. Now we've talked a little bit about, I want to get to Hollywood Studios. Have you been to Hollywood Studios? What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? What are your thoughts?
I'm sad. I'm sad about Hollywood Studios.
Because?
I hope that people don't hate me now when I say this. Okay. I'm never going to dislike a Disney park. I don't know that that's possible. But I miss the old Hollywood Studios for what it was. It was truly trying to be like a Universal, an old...
Back in the MGM days or whatever.
Obviously, I kind of like that old retro vibe thing, of old Hollywood. I like that style in general. Now you walk in and you see it, but you don't feel it. You're not really experiencing it anymore with your attractions. The Great Movie Ride is gone. I wish they had just updated it and put in some new movies that kids riding today would actually understand what they're looking at, instead of the Mickey ride. I like the Mickey. The Mickey ride seems cool, but I didn't think it had to replace a ride. I wanted them to add more rides into the park. I don't feel like they have enough rides. Instead, they keep taking something to give us something, and I'd really like them just to give.
I want them to just expand forever.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a good amount of space in that park that they could, when you think about Magic Kingdom, you don't have to walk far until you get to the next attraction. It's like boom, 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 boom. And Epcot, it's the World Showcase, you're going to walk a
plenty of room.
There's a lot of walking in between.
There's a lot more space available there still. That's why we need another land or two.
Same with Animal Kingdom. Now that's a little different because of the beauty and the vegetation. They need that. And they also need that land for the animals to roam and live. So that's different. But for Hollywood Studios, I feel like there's a lot of open space, but not a whole lot for the ticket. And so they added Galaxy's Edge. I think they did a great job. I'm not a huge Star Wars person. So for someone who's not a big Star Wars person, I miss the movie stuff, the other movie stuff. Toy Story Land to me is nice. I like the Toy Story franchise. I feel like they need to do more with it.
Yeah.
Toy Story Mania to me is still the big item there, and they already had that. That's not the new thing. They need a playground. So they took out Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which I actually remember being a kid playing on there, and then my stepdaughter played on it, and my two hadn't been there yet. They took it out, so they never got to play on it. But I don't understand why they don't build a playground in the Toy Story area.
It does make sense. I mean, it would fit with the theming for certain.
Yeah. I mean, you could sit there and climb on Mr. Potato Head or whatever and get up close and personal with, statues of these toys. And it just makes sense. And I think it would just make it more fun without having to add a lot of expense for Disney.
You make a really good point about the little kid stuff. I mean, I'm a new grandpa. I've got 3 grandkids now. One's almost 4 and the other 2 are both under 1. Mm-hmm. So in the near future, I'm going to have little Rugrats running around and wanting a place. There's a few, but it's, I guess, 5, 6 years old. I mean, the mom angle. When would you suggest people start taking their grandkids? At what age do you think it starts to get worth the effort?
Well, it really depends on the kid, and I think it depends on the person going with him. So I have now been with an 18-month-old, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 6, 7, 8 over the years. I've lucked out. My kids were actually pretty good, but they're not angels. They're not angels. I like how you said that. So this is not, it's not because they're perfect, and it's definitely not because I am a perfect patient mom. I am not.
You'd be the first perfect ever. So
yeah, so I try to be, but I'm not. And so I would say.
See you, Ray J. Thanks for being here. Bye, Caitlin.
I would say I was surprised at my 18-month-old. She is a more easygoing, happy kid. I don't think I would have been able to take my first kid or even my stepdaughter at that age. But for her, she's calmer. She's a little more, just low key. So at 18 months, I was surprised. She was entertained by the Carousel of Progress. I did not expect that.
Yeah, it surprises me.
I
am not entertained by the Carousel of Progress. So.
Yeah, the only thing she didn't like was the American Adventure Show at Epcot. The only thing she had to walk out of that I can recall. But I also knew not to put her on certain things either.
Yeah, I was going to say you're kind of an expert at that, frankly.
Yeah.
You talked about resorts a little bit. I want to get it in before we're done. By the way, I just dropped the link again, a couple minutes ago, to the Spotify link to Polka Dot Podcast. Go check her out. This is Leslie from Polka Dot Podcast. Hope you're enjoying tonight. Get over there, give her a listen, give her a positive review, and you're going to enjoy it. I guarantee it. Favorite resort? You mentioned the Poly. I think you mentioned something else earlier. It doesn't matter.
Beach
Favorite
Club.
Resort and what? Beach Club. I've not seen it. Tell me.
Club.
Hey, Andrew, how are you, buddy? Tell me why and tell me about the Beach Club. Give me a nugget. I've never stayed there.
Okay, so they have the best pool hands down.
Wow.
It's so good they named it. It is a little water park. It's called Stormalong Bay. It has
either Andrew is saying good job to you or to me, but he called, I don't know. Andrew, we just met. You can't call me honey, so I'm assuming he's your Andrew. Welcome in, Andrew.
Oh, is it my Andrew?
Well, if it's not, then I got to talk to some guy named Andrew who called me honey.
Well, come down.
Hey, buddy, welcome in. I'm glad you're here. Anyway, back to you. Beach Club.
Okay.
Pool that got named.
Yeah. So, and part of this could also be my own personal nostalgia of going there. One of my favorite trips was when we went when I was somewhere around 4th grade, and it was my family and my cousin's family. I'm really close with my cousins. And I remember Jennifer and Angela coming, and we just had so much fun as kids staying there. But I've also stayed there a couple times since at the Yacht Club and Beach Club. They're like sisters joining in. Yacht Club is a little more quiet, serious, kind of for, I would say, adults. Exactly. A little more upscale. Beach Club has been renovated since I've stayed there, but when I think of going on vacation, I think of palm trees, warm weather, sun, summer, and that's the Beach Club. Yeah. It's, very welcoming. It's beautiful, but welcoming and fairly casual, and just bright and sunny. And then the pool, hands down, the best.
Why is that the best pool? I must know. I've got one specifically who's not, pool is the most important thing for her, frankly.
So
Hey, Brittany.
I want to say, if memory serves correctly, and it probably doesn't, because I often get things wrong. I want to say the pool is sort of like a lazy river that wraps around for, I want to say 3 acres. I could be totally wrong about that. I might be putting my foot in my mouth. It's a sandy bottom pool. It had like a little whirlpool, a hot tub, bubbles. It has a really cool slide that looks like it's a shipwreck.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that. I've not been there, but I've seen it.
And then there's like a little sandy beach area where kids can just dig in the sand, and that's great too for the little ones. So it's really big and spacious and has a lot to it. It's not just a pool. And then of course they have the old soda shop that is really hard to get into now. You used to be able to
because it's so popular.
Yeah, it's really, and now they have that kitchen sink sundae. There's Andrew.
He's everywhere. He's in chat. He's in your house.
Can I persuade you to come say hello?
I'm coming.
He's come.
And Drew.
You might have to buy.
Hi, honey.
There he is. Hey, sweetie. I don't know how to respond to that.
I'm going to scoot over.
Oh, you're using earbuds.
Yeah, so that we don't.
I'm doing a run-in. This is great.
I haven't been called honey in years. So
There he is.
I like you already. Welcome in, my friend. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We love your podcast, and your wife is crushing it tonight. So
She is. I tuned in and I couldn't help but come down.
love it. Well, I mean, wait until the end. We're gonna have to have part 2 now. Part 2 with Andrew. It even sounds good. Almost 3 more minutes. So this is a good time. I'm gonna hit you with, and guys, if you have some questions, now's the time. We got 3 or 4 more minutes left. I'll hit you with some rapid fire stuff. Favorite Disney movie and why? And I'm talking to either or both of you, whoever wants to talk.
Oh, you go first.
I'm a pretty big Princess and the Frog fan.
Are you?
Okay.
I love the music. I love the scenes. I love my oldest daughter was a big fan of that one.
That's a great one.
And it's also kind of like the older ones.
Yeah.
The older animation.
And I love, is it Ray? I love Ray. Is it Ray?
Yeah, Raymond.
Didn't feel right when I said
The lightning bug.
the gator. Oh, I love that one. Yeah. What about you, Leslie?
Oh, it's such a close tie between Tangled and Monsters, Inc. Does Monsters, Inc. count?
Sure, Pixar.
It wasn't like originally Disney.
Just don't say The Simpsons, even though I'd have to count that now too. But
okay.
Sleeping Beauty.
Not anymore. It's a good one, but I like the other ones.
Your answers made me want to ask favorite princess. So who wants to go first on favorite Disney princess?
You go ahead.
Okay. Probably Belle, let's be honest.
Okay. That's a great one.
I really like Jasmine in the live action. I know a lot of people do not like the live action version of Aladdin. I loved it. I thought it was so much better than the cartoon.
One of my favorite. Well, I don't know about that, but one of my favorite live actions. But what about you, Andrew? Favorite princess?
I think Ariel. She has a lot of staying power.
See,
I
so
don't think she ever gets old.
I'm a Rapunzel guy, but Tiana's like 1A. I kind of expected you to say Tiana after your.
She's up there too.
I like Tiana.
I was just trying to be different.
How do you feel about the Splash Mountain changes? Since we're talking about. Princess
I think
and
they're
Frog.
great.
Yeah,
I'm really
excited
excited. I
about
think it's
that.
way overdue.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Give me some more Princess and the Frog.
Yeah.
Love
Exactly.
it. I asked her, but I want to hear from you. Favorite place to eat in the Disney property?
Oh, I'm a big either Liberty Tavern or Primetime Cafes. A lot of fun. Reminds me of childhood.
Now, this is a perfect one for both of you. It might be the one we end on. Disney bucket list, the thing you guys have not done yet that you hope to do someday. Well, if you could do one thing, you get the power to do any one thing, what would it be? And, of course, why?
Yep. You want me to go first?
You
You
go
have to think
first.
about it. You forgot yours. Dining with an Imagineer.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Yeah, that's on my list, too. Great one.
And short of that, Keys to the Kingdom.
Yeah. Andrew?
You said I forgot. Did I have an answer on our show?
I don't know. Just go with one. One of those 8 experiences we talked about. Do you
What were they?
remember? I don't know.
The first thing that came to mind is the next thing on my list is the Wilderness Resort.
Yeah. Okay. Here you
Yeah.
go. Staying at the Wilderness Lodge.
Yeah, I only did one night there, but I did that with, actually, it was Galaxy's Edge opening the day before Galaxy's Edge opening night. It's beautiful. I think that's probably my favorite lobby. That's an amazing one. Hey, I'm dropping the link to their Spotify link. Again, you can get it anywhere. You don't have to go to Spotify. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, Polka Dot Podcast. I said that'll be the last question, but one more. Both of you, what's your favorite thing about having a Disney podcast
Go. Getting to come up with new ways to talk about Disney, honestly.
I love that.
And engaging with people on Instagram. I love seeing all of their pictures and getting ideas from them. How about you, honey?
Well, actually, it's been a great it's been a great way for us to spend time together.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of TV junkies, and when you're watching TV, you're not really hanging out. I mean, you're not really talking to each other. And so between her prep work and being on the show and hearing it afterwards, there's a good amount of conversation that takes place.
Yeah.
And so that's been really nice. And then just hearing people's feedback is always fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, Andrew, I agree with that. Starting this Disney YouTube channel of mine, I hoped it would be kind of a family affair. In the first year and a half, it wasn't. Most of the time, if I get a downvote, it's one of my daughters. But now that my wife does a show with me 6 days a week, actually, she's getting into it more. It's like my favorite thing in life. I mean, I think like you guys, just I think you said it this way, Leslie, just finding ways finding other things about Disney to talk about. That's awesome. Like I have lots of passions. It's not just Disney, but Disney is definitely one of my passions. And to talk to people who, like you guys, who love something that I love,
yes,
like my favorite thing. It's everybody's favorite thing, right? I mean, I always say that I don't know if there's a shoelace community on YouTube, but if I was into shoelaces, I bet I could find it. And Disney people are my people, and that includes you guys. So anyway, Polka Dot.
One thing before we come.
Yeah, I'm in no rush.
You just triggered something I want to say. So one of the new segments that I'm doing on the show is called Steps to the Castle, where I'm interviewing former cast members or interns about their experience, both applying for the job and then their experience working there. And I'm doing it for two reasons. One, if you're a parent with a high school student, a child or a kid in college who has aspirations to work for Disney, I hope that these interviews will help them figure out how they can strengthen their resume, what the interview's like, what the experience, what they're going to gain from the experience. Or if you're just a Disney fan like me and want to hear stories about what it's like to work there and behind the scenes, I think that that's pretty entertaining too. So
absolutely.
The first Q&A for that was with my cousin, Natalie, who is a costumer at Magic Kingdom. And that dropped on September 4th. And I have another one lined up for next month. I'm hoping to do it once a month. So if you or someone you know is a former cast member and you are interested, please DM me at Polka Dot Podcast on Instagram or email me at polkadotpodcast@gmail.com because I want to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Perfectly done. Hey, Addie family, getting here right at the end. I'm glad to see you guys. Again, Polka Dot Podcast is the podcast. Polka Dot Podcast is the Instagram too, right? Did I say that right?
At Polka Dot Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah.
There you go. So get a hold of them. I know you guys know cast members. I know some of you are cast members. A couple that I saw in here, and I know my buddy Dan is excited to be on your show, and I think Caitlin took off, but she is too. So that'll be good.
Super excited to talk
I'll be
to him.
excited to listen to those.
Yeah.
Well, anything we're going to end on this. Anything you want them to know? Anything that we didn't get to? Anything? Oh man, this is my favorite thing, and I want to share it. Something on your show that's coming up. Anything you want to promote? The floor.
Well, that was number one. But like I said, we've got tips for parents or just planning tips for people in general. We've got Q&As. We've got just at the end of each month, we just banter about Disney news and updates and Disney Plus, what we're watching, and just sort of fan talk stuff. We've got games. We've got trivia. We've got a lot of talk about attractions and parks and what's happening there. So there's a variety. I hope you check us out. And if you have ideas or questions, I'd like to do some episodes where we answer people's questions, give shout out to listeners and that sort of thing. So I'd love to hear from you all more, and I hope you check us out. Really appreciate it.
I hope so too. Get over there, give them a listen, give them a nice positive review, and you're going to enjoy it. I do, and you will too. And we'll have some more podcasters on in the future, but we'll talk about that another time. Get over to Polka Dot Podcast. Give them some love. Thank you, both of you, for coming on tonight.
You, Jeff.
Thank you.
So much fun. Thank you so much.
I had a blast, and I'm glad you did too. Everybody in chat, thank you. Members, thanks for being here. If you were ninja mode in the background, I didn't say hello to you right now. I'm glad everybody was here. Sorry about the tech difficulties. We'll try to get a replay up and delete some of those, but I think it was a good night. I hope you guys do too. Thanks for being here. Have the best day ever. Have fun storming the castle. See you tomorrow morning for Good Morning Disney, and see you over on Polka Dot Podcast. Give it a listen.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.